The topic for our discussion is Faith Under Fire, Right to Freedom of Religion, Articles 25 to 28 of the Indian Constitution. The Constitution of India right now is under threat, especially when we discuss about right to religion. All is not well. If you remember the movie, Three Idiots, Hindi movie, there is a saying, all is well. Taking a cue from it, I say, all is not well when it comes to the Constitution of India. We always hear the famous speech of our Prime Minister, Sabke Saath, Sabka Vikas. Recently has added one more phrase to it, Sabka Vishwas, which means together with all, development for all, and trust of all. That is Sabke Saath, Sabke Vikas, and Sabka Vishwas. It's good for us to listen to his speeches, our Prime Minister's speeches. But when it comes to the conflict situation, the Sabka, that means all, that do not include the Christians in the country. That's what I personally feel after analyzing the current situation in the country. The proof lies in the increasing number of atrocities on Christians, especially in the Hindi heartland. The message is louder than the shots fired on the borders. The Christians do not matter much. That is what I understand from analyzing the current situation. So, what is at stake? It's about our fundamental right. What's our fundamental right? It's our freedom to practice our own religion. It's given to us by the Constitution. And Christians are becoming sitting ducks to Hindutva activists. And the worst thing is the law enforcing agencies have complete indifference towards Christians. The Constitution, right to freedom of religion, Article 25, freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion. That is Article 25. Subject to public order, morality and health, and the other provisions of this part, all are equally entitled to freedom of conscience and the right freely to profess, practice and propagate religion. It's not just about one religion, but it's about all religion. All of us have the right to profess, to practice, and to propagate religion. That's a clause given in the Constitution. We are given that privilege without any distinction. Article 26, again, freedom to manage religious affairs, subject to morality and health, public order. We have the right to establish, maintain institution, and for religious purposes and charitable purposes. And then we also have our right to manage our own affairs when it comes to religion. We can own, acquire movable and immovable property, and we can administer them according to the law of the land. So these are the laws. Then right to freedom of religion, again, Article 27, it says freedom as to payment of taxes for promotion of any particular religion. No person shall be compelled to pay any tax, the proceeds of which are specially appropriated in a payment of expenses for the promotion or maintenance of any particular religion. But if you analyze what's happening in the country, the number of temple renovation projects under the government, our tax money is used for renovation of temples, huge investment. Article 28, freedom as to attendance at religious instruction or religious worship in certain educational institutions. No religious instruction shall be provided in any educational institution maintained by state funds. And it explains. So I'll quickly, after completing this, I'll go to the explanations. Nothing in clause number 1 shall apply to an educational institution which is administered by the state but has been established under any endowment or trust which requires that religious instruction shall be imparted in such institution. No person attending any educational institution recognized by the state or receiving aid out of state funds shall be required to take part in any religious instruction that may be imparted in such institution or to attend any religious worship that may be conducted in such institution or in any premises attached thereto, unless such person or if such person is minor, his guardian has given his consent thereto. So these are the clauses, articles in the Indian Constitution. But what's the ground reality? Tolerance in tattoos. The world's largest democracy, India has prided itself in diversity and tolerance. But the alarming rise of attacks on Christians, place of worship, institution, it's not only a threat to the Christian community, but to the very fabric of the secular nation. Let's go to the statistics. 2024, we witnessed 834 incidents of violence on Christians in the country. That is, in just 366 days, 834 incidents. Last year, 2023, previous year, it was 734. The alarming frequency of attacks translates to more than 2 Christians being targeted every day in India simply for practicing faith, Christian faith. See the data. 2014, when Modi came to power, we had 127 incidents of violence on Christians. 2015, 142 incidents of violence. 2016, 226. 2017, 248. 2018, 292. 2019, 328. 2020, 279. 2021, after COVID, 505. 2022, 601. 2023, 734. 2024, 834. That means 2 terms of Modi, we had 4,316 attacks on Christian community in the country. This data is compiled by UCF, United Christian Forum. Now, this year, 2025, the first 4 months, from January to April, 245 incidents of violence against Christians reported from 19 states across India, according to the data compiled by UCF. Around 900 Christians were arrested under anti-conversion laws, with many of the detainees being women. And then, in one incident, police arrested a mother on her son's 7th birthday after someone mistakenly believed the celebration was a religious conversion, says United Christian Forum. 900 Christians during the last 10 years were arrested under anti-conversion laws. Now, some specific instances of violence on Christians in 2024-2025, the recent ones. Let me begin with the saffron flags on churches. In Madhya Pradesh, Chabua, fringe elements or saffron group planted saffron flags on 4 churches and then they chanted Jai Sri Ram standing above our church. Now, the saffron flag had a picture of Ayodhya Ram Temple and Jai Sri Ram inscribed on it. Second, arrest of Father Anil, CMI priest in Bhopal. He was in charge of an NGO, in charge of a hostel, taking care of slum kids. And then he was arrested on false allegation of violating provisions of child protection law that happened on 7th January 2024. He was director of Anchal. Then arrest of Father Dominic Pinto, Today, he's a youth coordinator of North India, Dominic Pinto, a Catholic priest belonging to Lucknow diocese. He was arrested. He was direct at that time. He was director of the pastoral center. Like any other pastoral center, the campus or the building was given for a prayer meeting organized by a group of Protestant pastors, and there was an allegation of conversion against Protestant pastors, and this director of pastoral center, Father Dominic, was arrested, and who were attending this retreat or this prayer meeting, Christabaktas. It has been going on for years. We had only given our pastoral center for prayer meeting, but he was arrested along with pastors. And in front of the pastoral center, Navinta, they held dharna, created nuisance, and then he had to remain in jail for a few days, few weeks. Father Anil also a few weeks. Then threatening posters in Assam, again in 2024. A Hindutva group, Sammalita Sanatan Samaj, issued posters asking us to avoid all religious symbols and costumes in educational institutions. For example, if I am the principal of an educational institution in Assam, I was not allowed, or they threatened that I cannot wear my religious garb. And no picture of Jesus, no statues of Mother Mary, no Christian statues, no Christian symbols in our own institutions. It's not one institution, many institutions in northeastern states have received these kinds of threats. And in Assam, posters printed in Assamese said, this is a final warning to stop using school as a religious institution. And we are branded as anti-Bharat. And we are accused of engaging in unconstitutional activities. Our educational institutions, which are sought after by every citizen of the country, irrespective of religion, and we were asked to remove the statues. Okay. Then, in Madhya Pradesh, the government conducted a survey which is against the constitution. We can have, we are waiting for the census, but it was not a census, but a survey of Christians. The police, Madhya Pradesh police, circulated a questionnaire among the Christian community, seeking details of missionaries working in the state or in that particular area, the institutions run by them, in their funding sources. The police wanted details like name, address, individual missionaries, institutions, work objectives, bank accounts, sources of foreign funding. All these things were asked by the police. They also saw the names and phone numbers if he runs a non-governmental NGO. Then this is not the first one. This was the second attempt from the part of Madhya Pradesh police. It's a kind of discrete profiling of Christians. Something was done earlier, that was in July 2023, survey of Christians and institutions. In 2023 July, the questionnaire had 15 questions, but in 2024, when they conducted the survey, it had 30 questions. And the church officials from Jabalpur, Jabua, and Gwalior have unofficially said that they have received such kind of questionnaires. Chhattisgarh CM, he's a product of our Jesuit school, Loyola School, Kunkuri. He studied in our school for years, and he is the chief minister of Chhattisgarh today. Vishnudev Sai, he said Christian missionaries are carrying out conversions under the garb of healthcare and education. That means our hospitals, clinics, and educational institutions, schools, colleges. We are engaged in conversion through our healthcare and educational institutions. And he said, or he wanted that the government would stop it, Chhattisgarh government. And they said, we are dominating health and educational sectors, resulting in religious conversions. Our own student who stayed with us or studied with us for 12 years, who was not converted, now he says, we are converting students or people who come to our health institutes. Saraswati Puja in Christian schools in Chhattisgarh. Schools run by missionaries in Chhattisgarh were asked to perform Saraswati Puja. We have minority certificate and it's a Christian school, but we were asked to conduct Saraswati Puja on Basant Panchami. Asking minority institutions to perform religious ritual is a violation of fundamental right, guaranteed to all citizens. And then we also received notices from Educational Department explaining the reason for not conducting the Saraswati Puja after the Basant Panchami. So we were asked to conduct Saraswati Puja on Basant Panchami, and when we did not conduct, we were asked to give an explanation. They also threatened us with the cancellation of our registration. Again, it's a violation of fundamental right. House of Christians in Odisha's Koraput district attacked, families flee to forest. This is something that happened last month. Christian families living in Narayanpatna and Budugaon blocks of Odisha's Koraput district have been forced to flee their homes and seek refuge in nearby forests following a series of violent attacks by antisocial elements or fringe elements on June 9th. Again, Malkangiri Christians last month, 30 people were injured in a violent attack on Christian community in Malkangiri district in Orissa again, prompting urgent calls for relief. This is a Protestant bishop, Vallabh Kumar Leva, is a leading figure in Odisha. A mob of 1,500 to 2,000 people from nearby villages descended on Kotamateru in the morning, assaulting residents and damaging property. At least 20 people suffered serious injuries. Then again in Krancha districts, Rangamatya, Ratihi, they incur socio-economic boycott. 23 Christian families in Odisha in Krancha district are facing socio-economic boycott for over a month. The affected families comprising 105 individuals say Bajrang is pressurizing them to abandon their Christian faith, using threats of dire consequences requires compliance. Then you know what happened to the Holy Family nun in Orissa. She was traveling along with four girls. Bajrang people entered the train. Somebody informed them, and then she was asked to get off the train along with the four candidates or four workers, four candidates who were above 18. And then they were harassed for 18 hours near Katak. Sister Rachana Nayak, Holy Family, was released after she proved that her companions, around 6 of them, 2 men and 4 women, were all Christians by birth and were traveling for enrollment in training courses. So 7 of them all together. Then last week, Maharashtra, BJP MLA Gopichand Padalkar, he called for violence against Christian clergy, and then he put a ransom amount. If someone attacks a Christian clergy, he put a rate card for killing different kinds of Christians. This happened just a few days ago. Then last week again, 2 nuns and a helper was arrested in Aurangabad district. I visited that place last month. Sisters are running a kind of orphanage or something like that, center for girls, and they were arrested because some elements instigated girls and they created some nuisance. The CCWC had promised to visit them, they did not turn up. And then these girls got out of the campus, went to the court, and then they created hangama. The issue came up in the assembly, and the chief minister said the license will not be renewed. And then sisters were arrested. Yesterday, they received bail. Sisters were in jail for a few days. Then again, series of attacks on Sunday, 2 days ago, on Christians in Chhattisgarh. So these are the recent incidents. I have just taken 14 incidents Just to explain to you, this is what is happening in the country, in different places, especially in the Hindi heartland. Now, let me go back to 2021. A BJP legislator, MLA, in 2021 in Madhya Pradesh had made a public statement, make India Chadar Mukt, Father Mukt. That means Chadar Mukt means Muslim free. Father Mukt means Christian free. He had called for a Chadar Mukt Bharat, Father Mukt Bharat. Muslim free India, Christian free India, a BJP legislature. Then again, in 2021, in Chhattisgarh, Surguja district, there was a kind of a religious gathering. Addressing that religious gathering, Paramatmanand Maharaj, a Hindutva leader, urged people to arm themselves axis to teach Christians indulging in conversions. He wanted Christians to teach, he wanted Christians to learn a lesson. Now, these statements of legislators or fringe elements, these are an advanced version of the RSS Sarsang Chalak. MS Golwalkar said, the minorities can stay in this country as second class citizens, claiming nothing, not even citizens' rights. Whatever be the excuses and pretexts given by Hindutva protagonists, their objective is beyond doubt. Make India is a Hindu Rashtra and reduce minorities to stay as second class citizens, as envisaged by Golwalkar, the second Sarsang Chalak of the RSS. With this background, what shall we do? What should be our response strategies? The leaders of the church, the CBCI, CCBI, I know at least some of their representatives are listening. They must take up these issues seriously. They must have courage to speak truth to power. The CBCI president can bring attention to these critical issues and advocate for the well-being of Christians across India. In following Christ's footsteps, I exhort the CBC and CCBI to emphasize the importance of religious freedom. I know the CBCI statement in 2024 spoke very powerfully on religious freedom. But we should not stop with a public statement or a press statement. We need to continuously we need to emphasize on religious freedom. Now, political leaders are visiting our prelates, and we should have courage to speak to them about the persecutions. We need to highlight the plight of persecuted Christians in Chhattisgarh, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, and other parts of the country. Then they also must promote dialogue and understanding between government and Christian leaders. Then, through courageous advocacy and prophetic courage, the church leadership can help ensure that the voice of India's Christian community are heard and rights are protected. Outward expressions of patriotism. We are miserly in expressions of patriotism, like national symbols, respecting national leaders, celebration of local festivals. All these things are required. We need to improve public relations in our context, wherever we are. We need to have contact with our own local journalists who would also carry our version of stories. We need to have contact with political leaders. We need to have contact with government officials. We need to have contact with political leaders, irrespective of political party or ideology. We need to have personal contact with all these things, all these people. And then we also need to be observant and perceptive. We need to be observant now than more observant than in the past. Because we are confined to our institutions, our ministries. Most of us are not aware of what's happening in the country, or especially in the northern part of the country. Emerging India is very different from what we are used to or what we hope for. Based on our observation, we need to perceive things as they are and not as projected by some people. It's time for Christians to diligently follow the warning. Be shrewd as serpents and innocent as doves. anti-conversion laws. Now, Maharashtra, the chief minister has said he is going to bring anti-conversion law. So, wherever it has been implemented, we need to study. I think we lack political catechism, or we also lack competition regarding the laws. We need to learn about the anti-conversion law specific to each state. So the people of Maharashtra need to study when it is going to be implemented, what are the provisions, and how it threatens the fundamental rights. If it is threatened, we need to take them to the court. Then in our institutions use common prayers, bhajans, etc. When people of different faiths come. Then we can also exhibit religious symbols in our campus, like on wall, etc. Don't ask hostel students, school children belonging to other faith to remove their religious symbols. Now, the NCPCR, that is National Commission for Child Protection, has issued a circular asking educational institutions not to remove religious symbols like thread, bindi, rakhi, etc. from kalava, etc. from the students. We have no right. So we need to strictly follow the government instruction. Then we should not impart religious instruction in our schools, and we should not construct chapel or church without proper permission from government authorities. I know a case where a church was constructed spending a crore without permission, and then the government authorities demolished it. A crore was spent without permission. So we need to get proper permission. Our personal contact with any government official will not be of help when we have already constructed. They will go by the rule when somebody takes up the issue. So get proper permissions, land documents. We need to have general knowledge regarding the society's trust, people who are in charge of them. Then provisions of income tax, we need to be aware. Then related to purchase of movable and immovable properties, we need to be very clear regarding the laws. And then provisions of SCRA, we should be very clear. Panchayat provisions of law regarding Panchayat Raj institutions. Then we also need to have all the required documents, land documents, permission documents, registration certificates, registration of beneficiary, register of beneficiaries. All these things are required because they ask for all these details. And when we are in trouble, only we ask for detail, ask for to search for the documents. That's not enough. We need to have archives where we have all these documents at hand. Then we also need to promote interfaith dialogue. All the people of other religions are not against us. Let's be very clear. Majority of the citizens of the country, if there are 85% of Hindus in the country or 84, 83 or 83.5 are for interfaith dialogue or supportive of us. But fringe elements are taking upper hand. So we need to have supporters from other religion. So promote interfaith dialogue. Then we also need to engage in public discourses, use certain platforms where secular values of the constitutions are threatened, should be highlighted. Then we will need to provide spiritual guidance for people who are affected by, for example, in Odisha, Chhattisgarh, we need to provide support for the victims. Then, okay, we need to report atrocities if our rights, fundamental rights are violated. Now, I gather at least, let's say, 5 people in my house and I'm conducting a prayer in my house. That is a right given to me. And if that is threatened, I need to question, report atrocities, file counter cases against them, build alliances with people of other faith leaders, interfaith dialogue plus alliances. Then ecumenical dialogue. Often we Catholics think it's all about Protestants. No, it's not about Protestants. Christians are attacked. And people see us as Christians, not as Catholics, not as Protestants or evangelicals. We are Christians, so we also need to support them. We need to foster ecumenical dialogue. Then we also need to promote Dalit empowerment. Supporting Dalit Catholic communities is our responsibility. Then political catechism is required, which is lacking among the religious leaders of our country, of our Catholicism. Then we need to speak out against Hindutva's discriminatory rhetoric and actions. advocate for secularism. We need to challenge media narratives. Let's evaluate, critically evaluate media coverage. Anything that happens, every newspaper, every news channel, every portal carries news against us. Is there anyone to give an intelligent version of what's happening? We do not have. Suppose an affected community, they are unable to communicate what exactly happened. It takes 3 days, 4 days. By then, their narrative has already been propagated. So immediate response from our part is required. And we need to support independent media that speaks for secular values. We also need to use social media responsibly, utilize social media platforms to share accurate information, counter misinformation, and amplify marginalized voice, support progressive politicians. Now, there are politicians who speak for us. I'm not advocating a particular ideology, but from my experience, people who have spoken, Derek O'Brien of Trinamool Congress, or from CPM, John Brittas, then from Congress, Dean Griapis. These people have spoken for us in the parliament and outside the parliament also. So we need to support progressive politicians, document and report hate crimes, then build alliances with international organizations. We need to collaborate with the global human rights organizations, Amnesty International, etc., so that there is a voice outside the nation to speak for us. Engage in electoral politics. You know what happened in Karnataka? The Jesuits worked hard and they actively involved in electoral politics. And a few like-minded Catholics. And that had an impact. Now something has to be done in Bihar too, especially when it comes to SIR, the revision of electoral rules. People whose names were there in 2024, people who voted in 2024, their names are deleted in 2025. There is no warning given, no time for rectification. People are literally struggling in Bihar. So we need to engage in electoral politics. I'm not asking you to advocate a particular ideology or a particular party, but electoral politics would mean people's right to vote. That is being threatened now in Bihar, and soon it will be implemented all over the country. And in collaboration with the ECI, the Election Commission of India, um, those govern the country may eliminate names from the electoral roll. I do not know, but it can happen. There are allegations coming from Bihar. So it can happen throughout the country. So let's be cautious and supportive. We need to keep our house in order. If we start speaking about keeping the house in order, we have a lot to speak. We need to keep all the documents, then auditing, then pay taxes, etc., then update ourselves, etc. Okay, align with the civil society organizations. Then judicial remedy to challenge attempts to curb religious freedom. Maharashtra bishops of the Catholic bishops of Maharashtra need to take up the anti-conversion bill. They have released the press statement, and once it comes up, they need to seriously study and then take up that issue. Then we also need to desist from conversion based on allurement. I don't think we Catholics are involved in allurement, but there are groups which are involved in. If there are, we need to desist from it. But there is no reason why genuine conversion should not take place. Genuine conversion should take place. That is a right granted to us. So we have to make sure that those converted should not give evidence of any force or allurement, even when the Sangh Parivar people raise the issue. In Bihar, when the conversion issue came up, the government itself stated that there are no proofs of forcible conversions, hence no action could be taken. Then those who are converted, they should not be discriminated. Now, they got converted 10 years ago, 15 years ago. We should not ill treat them. In certain cases, some people say we were Catholics or our parents or grandparents were converted and we were Catholics for namesake and the church never took care of us. We were Dalits. That should not happen. Conversions, genuine conversion should take place, and then converted people should be taken care of by the church. Offering our facilities is not forced conversion. Let us offer our facilities to the poor and the marginalized. Then intelligent response, then solidarity. When Christians are attacked in one diocese, there is usually no expression of solidarity and general support from other dioceses or religious congregations. Let's say Aurangabad. I'm saying an example. Let's say something happened in Aurangabad diocese. Uh, are we concerned about what happened there? Do we have any interest beyond the news value? The religious congregations, CRI, and other congregations, do they support? Do they stand for? Do they use their influence? Or the church in India support them, a particular congregation? Usually, what we have seen is if something happens to a particular congregation, they are left to themselves and they have to face the situation on their own and use their contacts. The church does not have newspaper or journal at all India level, which can influence people. We need to put forward our views to the public. The Sangh Parivar or the fringe elements have their tremendous influence of newspapers and weeklies and electronic media. Then we also need to join programs like Not in My Name. Then government programs, we should not hesitate to join. Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, for example. And then any incident of communalism and discrimination should also report it to Minority Commission. Strengthen the Minority Commission at the states. Now, there are no members, Christian members in many states. Minority Commission is not active in many states. So the CBCI need to approach the government of India, asking them to strengthen the Minority Commission, appoint members in the Minority Commission. Christian representative is not there in the National Minority Commission for the last 4 or 5 years. So, if there are Christian representatives, we can get in touch with Minority Commission members. Okay. So, thank you.